Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dans. I'm inside the Roundhouse today. I promise I am in an enclosed room with nobody else around. I will put my mask on as soon as this video is over, but it's been a really busy week here. I didn't have time to leave the building today, but Dan, you covered a lot of the one of the most significant debates probably of the session this week. Catch us up a little bit on what happened with abortion.
Yeah, a bill that would repeal a 1969 abortion ban essentially was passed yesterday by the Senate, a 25-17 vote. It was more than 3 hours of debate, very emotional and a lot of heartfelt testimony. This is the similar bill to one that failed on the Senate floor 2 years ago. So it was really a test of kind of how different the Senate would be after last year's elections. And 2 years ago, 8 Democrats voted against the bill, and yesterday only 2 Democrats voted against it. It'll now go to the House, where we're pretty confident it'll pass there, and the governor has indicated she'll sign it. So certainly significant, development in this year's session. Especially, backers say there's some urgency to pass the bill now with changes to the U.S. Supreme Court and the possibility of revisiting Roe v. Wade. So another interesting thing about the debate yesterday was a lot of Republican senators trying to ask the Democratic bill sponsors to yield for questions, which is kind of typical in a debate. And the lead sponsor declined to do so, declined to answer any questions. So that was notable. We'll see if that's kind of a new trend going forward, or just something that was unique to this debate, given the emotional nature of abortion.
Yeah, so this is a little inside baseball, but I think it's kind of interesting. So refusing to yield for a question, that doesn't mean other senators can't debate or offer their own opinions. What was sort of the practical impact of that?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the members could still give their debate, and they could ask other members of the Senate to yield, who did yield. So it didn't stifle debate. But it's usually kind of a part of the decorum that somebody yields to a question, even if the question is someone basically trying to make a point. Or so, in that regard, it was significant. It didn't mean that debate couldn't happen, and a lot of people did get a chance to debate. But I think it kind of showed some of the tensions and some of the strong feelings on that issue.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me when I first started covering the legislature is the style of debate often involves questions where, almost like an attorney cross-examining a witness or something. The opponents of a bill will kind of ask questions, leading questions, kind of to make a point during a debate. That happens in both chambers. In terms of sort of the abortion debate being kind of a sign of things to come, the House today is taking up House Joint Resolution 1, which is the constitutional amendment that would authorize extra withdrawals out of the land grant permanent fund to fund early childhood education. We're pretty sure that bill will pass today in the House, but it, like the abortion bill, will be facing a different kind of Senate than before. What do you think the outlook is for that bill, Dan? I mean, it seems like clearly it's another chance for sort of this new Senate to show us whether they're going to do different things than the sort of the Senate we came to know.
I think that'll really be a theme of this session, kind of the Senate being really changed and more progressive potentially. That said, I don't think the permanent fund bill is a slam dunk in the Senate. There are different ideas about, if you are going to increase those distributions, what that money could be used for. And the Senate may have some different ideas on that than the House. Right now, the House proposal would target those funds at early childhood programs, but there's also talk of using some of it to go toward, teacher salaries, or public schools, things like that. And then there's, kind of a debate about what's the right percentage to take out of the fund and how much is maybe too much. So I think there's, we're going to see a lot of debate on that, and we don't know how that's all going to shake out. But I do think, we'll also see, cannabis bills, tax bills. It'll be really interesting to see how a lot of those fare in the Senate, given, a lot of the changes and the new members we see there.
Yeah, it certainly it's a really busy time for the legislature right now. We're kind of right in the middle of it. We both will be working over the weekend, of course. And then, today I didn't have a chance to sort of come home and set up my my little normal home studio. So I'm here at the Capitol, but we are approaching the halfway point. That will mean a couple of things. There will be an introduction deadline for new bills next week. Um, and then also we should see some action on the budget. The House typically tries to send a budget over around the halfway point. Do you have any thoughts on sort of the week ahead?
Yeah, you mentioned a few highlights. One thing we'll really be watching for is new revenue estimates coming out next week, and those will be really crucial in determining the size of the budget bill. Um, as you mentioned, that's the halfway point, so it should be coming. The budget should be coming out of the House, where the process usually starts, and then they'll be voting on it and send it in over to the Senate, which will make any changes to it. Um, so yeah, I mean, action's definitely heating up. I mean, once the bill deadline passes, if bills haven't got a hearing in the next couple weeks, the time crunch kind of comes into play a little bit. So it seems like a lot of time, but once we get to hit that halfway mark, the urgency even increases even more.
Yeah, the on the House side, they've had probably an 8 or 9 hour floor session yesterday. They're having another similar length is expected for today. So they are doing a lot of work. Each chamber is, now starting to send bills to the other chamber. So we could see legislation, getting final legislative approval and moving to the governor's desk as soon as maybe late next week. Usually it takes a little bit of time for bills that cross over to sort of formally make it to a committee referral and then make it back to the floor. So that may happen about a week from now. But as always, we're thankful for everyone who tunes in. We really appreciate the support for anyone who's willing to subscribe or click on our stories. Certainly we know that this year especially that it's kind of a unique position for us to be in the building without other people, and so we certainly want to do as good a job as we can bringing you the news. And Dan, I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and to wrap it up, I guess on a lighter note, certainly a lot of serious and important bills being discussed, but it's also been some of the funnier moments in the building this week. I saw a few senators crashing into the plexiglass barriers between their desks, and so we'll try and bring you some of those highlights as well, even though they might not make it into stories. But it's a different reality for all of us, and certainly trying to keep up with the news, but also kind of bring you the real flavor of this unique session.